weird. Okay. Don't set a piece of paper on your mouse. Apparently it turns the video record off. All right, so we're going to start with the back gill first. So I'm going to come right here above this fin, right at the front part, put a slightly curved line. Then I'm going to move over and I'm going to do it again, a parallel line to that one so they don't touch each other. And then I'm going to do another one, just like the one I just drew. Try to keep these evenly spaced as you can. Then I'm going to put one more here, evenly spaced as I can get it, and then one last one. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Now, I don't know if we'll get to the shading part today, but we're going to get kind of things laid in to be ready to do that. We'll see how far we get here in a minute. Does anybody need more time on the gills? Because I know they're kind of hard to try to keep them even and all that good stuff. 5. If you have 4 or 5, we're fine. Just don't give him less than 4. Okay, now kind of down the middle, we're going to go off that point. I'm going to put a very light line that goes all the way down the middle of my shark and ends at the base of the tail. This is a super light line. And all this does is kind of separates the top from the bottom. This part's darker, this part's lighter, so it's just giving me a dividing line. I want to keep that light though, because I don't want to see a dark line right down the middle of my fish, my shark. I don't want that. Just a very light line. It's just a guideline to remember, oh yeah, stop there, don't go any further. Up here, does everybody have that now? Yep. Up here at the top of the dorsal fin, we're going to make something that looks a little bit like the Pepsi sign. I'm going to come up here and make kind of an S shape, just like that. Yeah, that looks like a backwards S right there. Kind of stretched out. And then I'm going to make a parallel line exactly like it again right underneath it. Okay, so when I'm done, kind of looks like the little Pepsi swirl right there. That's actually fairly important. You got to make sure you have that on your shark. All right, I'm going to zoom in for some of this stuff because some of this stuff's a little too small. You can hardly see it. Hopefully that focuses here in a second. Come on, focus. This thing's having a hard time with its focus today. There it goes. All right, on this fin, we're going to just come down a little bit and then curve it back over here into the top of the fin. And then we're going to go right there and bring that. What we're going to do with it, I'll just color this one in so you know what we're going to do with it. This right here that we just lined out is going to be black. Just on that outer edge, basically, of that fin. It's easier to see if I color it in, I think. So whatever we did on that top one, we're going to come down here and do the same thing on this bottom one. Now that's not the main reason it's called a black tip shark, but it's one of the reasons, because those fins are black tipped. So just take a second, carefully do that with those two fins. In fact, while we're doing black, let's just come up here and do the top of this dorsal fin too. So right here at the tip of this dorsal fin, this is the main reason it's called a black tip shark. because this part sticks out of the water and you can see it coming at you and you're like, oh, it's got a black tip. That's a black tip shark. I am so knowledgeable and I'm about to die, but at least I know what's going to kill me. Okay, so. Actually, black tip sharks I don't think have killed a whole lot of people. They generally don't get gigantic. So. But they can get 5 or 6 feet long. So. Maybe even longer. Okay, so does everybody got the tip of that fin done too? All right, let's move on to the tail. Tail's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to curve around right here. I'm just going to bring it in a little bit, doing a parallel line up here. When I get right here where this meets the tail, I'm going to curve it over like that. Then I'm going to come down here, make almost like a Nike swoosh, make like a Nike swoosh, and connect that line up. So I got a parallel line. I'm sorry. Got a parallel line going through here. This line comes up through here, curves up. This makes like a Nike swoosh. And then I'm going to color this all in black on the back edge of his tail. Try to keep that really smooth coloring so it's not like all jagged looking through here. Now this step that we're going through doing these black parts on the shark, this could be done at the end or we can do it now. It doesn't really make much difference, but for today we're just going to do it now. As far as the order goes, it could be done now or at the end, either one. Hopefully you don't get that too wide. It's just a thin band, runs down the back edge of the tail, a little bigger at the top, a little bigger at the bottom. So. So I'm going to turn my paper this way because it's just easier for me to do, and I'm going to go very narrow. I'm going to have it touching that line and then come out a little ways. And then I'm going to bring it back this way and have it touch that line where it meets the body. So it goes to a point here and here and then wider down here at the bottom. Joel, stop. And don't look like, well, I'm not doing nothing. It's the first time you haven't done nothing in the whole class. Okay, fill that in. And the last place we're going to put black on this will be on these two fins, but they're going to be different from each other. So it's important that you pay attention to what we do here so that you know the difference on the two. So this first one, we're just going to imitate this same shape as we've got right here. So let me darken this line just a little bit so you can see it clearer. So now I'm going to imitate this shape. I'm going to come down towards the bottom and just bring it back up right there. Just right at the bottom. Then I'm going to color that in black. Just right on the tip of the fin. I don't want to come clear up here. It's just right down here on the tip. Then this one's going to be slightly different. We're going to start off the same way, but then we're going to take that black all the way up to here. It runs along the back edge of this fin. So come down, imitate what it looks like at the bottom, curl up, bring that all the way up, keep it close to the back edge, and then it meets at that point right there. So it'll be a little point at the end. Come in, we'll make this black along the back edge. Okay, hopefully you got both those fins done now. Make sure you go all the way up on the back on the one that's closest to us. So the next part, and what we're going to do, you're going to have to be very, very careful with your coloring, because this part kind of makes or breaks it. This is where we absolutely do not want a bunch of scribble. And make sure that you understand this. So when I go to color this in, if I color it in and I'm going like this, okay, it's not going to look that great when we're done. It's going to look like scribble. Okay, that's not keeping your lines close together. That's pure scribble. If you come in here like this, though, and you color it, keep it smooth and even, then when we go to smooth it out, it's going to look beautiful. It's going to look like shark skin. This is not going to look like shark skin. This is going to look like scribble that you tried to smooth over and it didn't work. So we're going to carefully do this. We don't want to go past this center line. So using the side of your pencil, don't hold your pencil up like this, okay? I want you to use the side of your pencil, low down to it, because it gives it a different texture, and it also makes a slightly wider line. We're just going to carefully color right down to that center line. Don't color inside your parentheses. Leave that little white right there. Slowly, carefully color this shark in. Being really careful around that little parenthesis spot. I'm keeping my lines totally close together, so there's no space between them, so it doesn't look like scribble. And I'm not coloring very dark, am I? Neither should you. Don't color this very dark. We can always go darker, but it's really hard to go lighter if we start too dark. I think I'll just kind of color that center part in just a little more so I can see it better. And I'm keeping my lines really close using the side of my pencil. This is why mechanical pencils aren't great for this, because it's hard to get the side of it, and it gives you a different texture. Okay, so now that's pretty even all the way across. There's a slightly darker spot here, but that will kind of disappear when I smooth it out later. I'll give you a few minutes to get that on there. Make sure you're going all the way to the edge, too. Don't leave a little white glow along the edge of your line. Make sure you colored all the way up to the edge. If you go a little over, you can always take your eraser and just go through and clean it off. Okay, once you have that part colored in, I want you to come up and color this fin in up here. I'm going to press slightly harder on this one. Not a lot, but a little harder. I'm going to go around the edges first. So all I got to do is fill it in once I get the edges done. Now I've gone all the way around the edge. And I'll come in here and just fill it in. If you've done it correctly, your dorsal fin will look slightly darker than what's on the body right now. We're going to jump down here to this fin, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Color it in just slightly darker, so it stands out from the body right there. But we don't want to go too dark because we don't want it to just totally blend in with the black that we put on there, but it does need to be darker than the body. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the tail. We're going to come down here. I'll follow the outer edge first. I don't need to go around this edge because it's already black. Make it slightly darker than everything around it. Then I'll do the bottom part. Now, I guess I should check. Does anybody need more time to get to this point? Because I know I'm moving kind of quick here. Okay, just give me a thumbs up if you raised your hand so I know you're there. All right, now we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take this dark that we've done right here on the tail, and I'm going to bring this up. See how it makes a little point right there? I'm going to make it blend into what I've just done right here. And this back end is going to be just a little bit darker. But then I'm going to move it and go right to the top of the back right here. And I want the top of this back to be just as dark as what those fins are right now. Just the top part. So that should match that dorsal fin. That should match right there. And I'm only going to bring it down a little ways, and I will stop. I'm going to take it right to the very edge. This you need to really be careful and take your time on. Don't do this in a hurry. And I'm going to bring that all the way to the front of the nose. I'm going to work my way back. And I'm going to come in just above the eye. I don't want it to touch the eye. I'm going to make that all just a little bit darker. Now it's important that you don't come down here and put it right through the eye, okay? Make sure you stop before you get to the eye. That part you got to be really careful with. If you went outside your lines, take your eraser and clean it up a little bit. I just did that right there just now as I was saying it. Shouldn't have said it, cursed myself. All right. Now this will look cool when we're done. Right now it looks kind of rough. And I'm actually teaching you kind of a shading technique and a coloring technique at the same time. Tomorrow this will make a whole lot more sense. All right, so now we have this top part dark. The next part that we got to make a little bit dark like this is this fin right here. So just don't do this one. Don't color that one. Make sure it's the one that's closest to us. Where it connects to the body is where you stop on that one. Okay, these two fins down here, we're going to make a little bit darker, just like the ones that we did on the top. This is an easy one because the outer edge is already colored in. We just got to bring it dark up to the body and then stop. Same thing with this one. I like ones like this because it's already outlined. All right, this next part we got to be super careful with. We don't want it to get too dark. So we're going to color this fin right here as light as you can color it. Just barely let your pencil touch the paper. I'll zoom this in so you can see what I'm doing. I mean, I'm barely touching the paper with this. I want this ultra light. Sometimes coloring lighter is harder than coloring darker because you don't want to press too hard. So when that's all colored in, it should be darker than white, but lighter than this fin right here. So this is much lighter than that fin, and that's what we want. Super crazy light. Okay, here is the last part of our coloring now, for today anyway. I'm going to raise this up so you can see what we're doing. How light we colored that in right there, the whole bottom of the shark has to be super light like that. It's not necessarily white, it's just ultra light. Make sure you keep your lines close together so we don't get scribble here, because this is the very softest part on it, so we need to make sure that we keep it light so that when we smooth this out with a Kleenex that it still looks soft and light and not like rough scribble. And for me, and what I'm trying to do, this is probably the hardest, to be honest, because it's kind of hard to keep your lines close together and keep them light. Not get light, dark all over and keep it all even. So you have to just kind of take your time and be careful through here. And I'm going to take that all the way up to the nose and over the gills and everything. When I'm done, the top half is darker, the bottom half is really light, it's not white. And then last little touch up right here on this bottom edge of the belly, I'm going to go just slightly, and I mean slightly darker. And the reason for that is it's the bottom side, so not a lot of light reaches there, so it kind of casts a shadow on itself. So we're going to make that just a little tiny bit darker. Not very much though, okay? All I'm doing is barely pushing down on my pencil, and I'll bring that right up to the chin, and even the front of the nose right there. Just barely doing this though. Hardly touching that paper at all, hardly pushing down at all. Okay. Right now it looks like lines, and lines are fine because we're going to smooth this all out tomorrow and probably darken it in a little more, and it'll be all done. But that is where we're quitting for today. If you get to that point,